Hi guys, welcome to the fourth session of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Friends, we have three more sessions left including this, so 4, 5 and 6. Very good afternoon Makaran, very good afternoon Chirag. Well friends, we have a lot of theory to be covered still. We have taken 3 sessions. We have learned a lot about innovation, what are the various terms involved in it. We have learned a lot about entrepreneurship also. We will continue our journey right now. We have still few more terms to understand, and slightly we're going to bring in a little bit of economic terms, a little bit of marketing terms, so that you get a flavor of all of these which could be asked in your exam, right? So let's start with where we left off in the last session. Now, we spoke about something called as the product life cycle as well as the startup life cycle. Okay, we have seen that both of them are quite similar, right? So we'll continue from here. Once again, we will revise this last part we have seen in the last class. So the product life cycle or even a startup life cycle follow kind of a similar pattern. It first starts with introduction, where I explained to you the basic logic of introduction is the idea or the product basically it has been introduced into the market, or a startup has just introduced its existence, or rather it made its existence known in the market, right? And then the next part is the growth phase, where the product, once it has been introduced, whether it's a product life cycle or a startup life cycle, once people came to know of it, so the first phase can be thought about as awareness. Okay, you are making people aware of your existence. The second phase is the awareness has led to the people liking you, your company's work or your product's work. So this is where the growth phase comes in. So you will be looking at expanding your resources if it's a company, making more and more products, diversifying into other areas if it's an entrepreneur. If you're looking at a particular product, single product, the product has been accepted by people, so you're thinking of producing more. If it's a service, hiring more people to offer this service. So that's basically called as the growth phase. The maturity phase is where you're talking about the product or the company has kind of stabilized. So you're not going to look at a 50% growth or a 100% growth year on year anymore. So in the maturity phase, you're talking about things stabilizing. You have got whatever market share you can. The growth is not going to be significant from here on, which ideally happens in almost all companies or all products. And finally, decline may or may not happen. I'm not saying that, see, in the long run, we are all dead. So that way, every company will have to have some kind of a decline. If not now, probably 100 years later or 200 years later. But no, the decline is not a hard and fast rule that it should happen in this particular time frame. So what is this decline? The decline basically talks about, yes, your product has been good, your company has been good, people understood it, accepted it. Now there is competition coming and trying to eat into your market share. So because you've been so successful as a company or as a product, there are enough people who are going to look at you and trying to make similar or better products and compete with you. Right? So especially if you make a new product which did not exist earlier. Let's say a new technology came up and you made something called as a hoverboard. Let's get into a little bit of science fiction. So if you're the first company which could truly make a safe hoverboard which can take you from point A to point B without touching the ground, avoiding all the traffic, probably flying 20 meters above the other roads. So that's a great innovation. It's a great mode of transport. Now others will try to copy you, try to bring their own products which are probably better than what you already made and try to eat into your market share. Now that might lead to your decline and death or not, depends upon how you manage your product and how you manage your company. But this phase is not a hard and fast rule. Somewhere it will happen, but whether it's going to happen immediately in the next 5 years or 10 years or 100 years, well, we will not know. It all depends on how the product has been managed or the company has been managed. But yes, eventually it will happen for sure. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we have seen in the product life cycle. I've got few questions. Let me take a look at it. How can we score 17 in this section? Madhuri Holkar, you're talking about 17 out of 20, my friend. To be very honest, scoring 17 in GK or in this section, if you are able to do that, I would say you are excellent, you're fantastic. Okay, a realistic score in this section would be anywhere between 12 to 15. Realistic means if you study really well, then 12 to 15 is something that you can expect. Anything above 15 means you are a genius in this. Okay, so if you're talking about 17, I would say it's not very easy. You should go through all the content that is available on all the channels, all the institutes. You've read everything. Probably that's when you're looking at 18 or 19 kind of marks or 17 plus marks. Okay, I hope I answered your question properly, Madhuri. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at a question, straightforward question based on what we just discussed. Please give me an answer in about 40 seconds. Should not take more than this. Saurabh, I will never say my 6 sessions are enough, but yes, these 6 sessions will give you at least about 60 to 70% of the knowledge required. Friends, I will not be so arrogant to say that I will teach you everything you need. I mean, nobody can do that in GK. This is a session which is similar to GK. So I can guarantee that about 60 to 70% of the syllabus will be completed, but there will still be a 20% syllabus left out which can come from anywhere. Right, Saurabh? Okay, so guys, let's take a look at it. The entrepreneur life cycle progresses through the following 4 stages. We have seen the 4 stages, what they are. The answer should be startup, growth, maturity, and exit or decline. Exit when it comes to a company. So the 4 options. So what we saw in the previous slide was actually for something called as a product life cycle. Now when it comes to an entrepreneurial life cycle, it is kind of similar. You can see startup is when you just started the company, you introduce your company. Growth and maturity are kind of similar to a product. Now exit comes for an entrepreneur when you sell your company to a to an investor and moved out, or you brought it to a particular point and then you want to take up a new idea or a new product, so you're selling this off and exiting it. So it's not a decline per se for an entrepreneur, because an individual will not decline. Decline comes for a product, but for a company. But for an entrepreneur, when you're talking about an entrepreneur, it is not actually a decline. You talk about an exit from this particular company. Okay. Well, that's your answer. So straightforward, the answer is C. Right. By the way, guys, before we move on, once again a reminder: please subscribe to our channel if you like our videos. Click on the like button as well as the notification button. We have a lot more sessions coming your way in the next few days. Okay, so Shubhankar Chaudhary is asking, can you explain the difference between development and growth in context with the question? So let me see, where is development and growth? Okay, startup development. See, okay, development is product or entrepreneurial development. Okay, so the difference between development is you're developing a product or you're developing a company. That's the idea, or that's the meaning of the word. Okay, so development is not growth. So here, what is the meaning of growth? The company is growing. So it is adding more resources. It is making more of the products. It is not growing the product per se. Okay, the product is already there. What it's growing, or it's not developing the product anymore. What it's doing is you are supplying more of it. That's the small difference. Okay, Shubhankar Chaudhary, I hope that's clear. Okay, Atul, what other sessions I'll take? Atul, as of now, let me first focus on finishing your 6 sessions over here. Probably if time permits, I can take up few strategy sessions for CMAT also. Okay, but as of now, what I have in store for the next few days is your session number 5 and session number 6. Okay. Well, guys, let's move ahead. Development and growth are not the same, Farhan. There is a small difference. Okay, development and growth are not the same thing. Okay. Let's move ahead. Now, the next phrase, which is interesting that you need to understand, is something called as market pull versus technology push. When we are dealing with innovation, okay, this innovation can happen because of 2 things. Let's take a look at what are these 2 things. One is called as a market pull innovation. The other is called as a technology push innovation. Now, market pull innovation, the meaning of this market pull innovation is, you have, as an entrepreneur or as a product manager, you have seen that people are requiring certain things in the market. So there is a demand for certain kind of a product in the market. It is currently not existing. Okay, so you identify this. So it is basically about identifying the need, which is currently not met in the product, in the market. Okay, and based on this need, you design a product which will cater to the need, and you're giving it to the people. By the way, I'm getting few quick comments. Let me take a look at it. Saurabh, if you've already got a 97.8 percentile, my friend, this time with the kind of effort you're saying you're putting in, 99% should be a piece of cake for you. Do not worry, you're doing a good job. Please make sure that you write your mocks. Write at least 6-7 mocks before you go to the actual CMAT exam, and make sure that you start. Guys, this is for all of you. My recommendation out of the 5 sections, my recommendation is start with your GK and innovation. Finish this in 30 minutes. That's 40 questions in 30 minutes. And if you notice, all these questions will be a question with 4 options. There's nothing much to talk about. There's nothing much to think, sorry. You will either know the answer or not know the answer. It's the same for GK and innovation. So don't spend too much of time. Finish it in 30 minutes. The remaining 2.5 hours, try to spend on the 3 sections, which is basically your English, quant, and logic. Now, in these 3 also, spend at least 6 to 7 mocks to identify what should be the order of these 3. Now, if you ask me personally, I like quant, and in fact I like all 3, but between the 3, or rather between is not the word, among the 3 things, I like quant better. So I will ideally, given a choice, start with quant, then continue with logic, and finally finish with English. Because that suits me, and I will start with my strength. I will not exactly call English as my weakness, because I kind of score decently well in English. In fact, at times I score better in English over my quant. But yes, I'm a quant faculty. I start with quant, I'll continue with logic, and then end my exam with English. So figure out what is your strength, what is your order, what is your preference. Some people want to start with the weakness first and finish it off. Some people are happy starting with their strength. You understand yourself better, but use these mocks to figure out what is the order. Once you figure out the order, take 2 to 3 mocks and do it in this correct order. First GK and innovation, finish it off in 30 minutes. Then the remaining 3 sections, make sure that you answer them as in the way that you figured out, in the order that you just figured out in the experimentation of the mocks. So do not feel, do not be afraid to experiment in these mocks, and keep 2 or 3 mocks, so that once the experimentation in the mocks is done, once the final order is figured out, you're going to implement this order now. Okay, so I've got few more questions. Okay, Shiba is asking, can I zoom it? I don't think I can zoom, Shiba. Unfortunately, I'll try to take note of it. I'll use bigger fonts next time. But thank you for that, Shiba. I'll keep that in mind next time. Farhan, yes, I will definitely give you examples, Farhan, for market pull and technology push. I'm not done with this slide. I have a lot more to explain here. Okay, there's somebody who is real. Okay, Devang. Devang is saying stats and accounts. Devang, I don't think you need to worry too much about stats and accounts. If you're uncomfortable, please leave it. There are enough questions that come from other areas that you don't have to worry about stats and accounts. Okay? Okay, and Saurabh is saying, this new section make an obstacle for getting expected score. Saurabh, at the end of the day, your score will still be out of 100. Earlier it was 25 into 4, this time it is 20 into 5. So yes, if you ask me, will it be an obstacle? The way to look at it is, earlier it used to be 25 GK and 25 of your English, math and logic. But this time they cut out these 5555 and they made another 20, which is your innovation. So yes, it will affect your score because these 20 marks will add up to your score, right? It's not just a random section without marks. There are 20 marks in this section, and if you don't prepare well, you will end up losing a lot of your marks, which otherwise you could have scored in these 3 as well as 5 questions in GK. But this time it's more GK, so think of innovation also as a GK kind of question only, because yeah, this is knowledge about a specific area, GK is general knowledge about any area. Okay. Eligibility criteria, Devang is saying eligibility is 10 plus 2 level math compulsory. No, there's nothing called as math compulsory, Devang. See, you don't need to compulsorily have math, to be very honest. Now the question is, can you learn maths as far as your test is concerned? When they say maths compulsory, it's not that you have to have maths in your 11th and 12th. What they're saying is it's that level of maths will be asked. Okay? Right, that's a good thing, Shubhankar. Unnecessarily, I'm getting carried away into things which are not related to the topic. There's a lot of discussion to be done today. Thanks for bringing us back into focus, Shubhankar. So let's continue. So what is this market pull? As I said, the product manager or the entrepreneur will identify that there is a need in the market which currently nobody is dealing with, or nobody is creating anything to meet the need. So I will create a product, or I will start a company which makes products which will deal with this particular need. Such kind of innovation is called as market pull innovation. And the examples are cameras. Now if you remember, cameras used to be this big ones where people used to put a blanket on top and then they used to click, big huge cameras. They used to be phosphorus, there's a huge bulb and phosphorus, this thing that used to be used. Now there was a need that people realized that once camera was introduced, now the market wanted a camera which can be portable. That big stand camera cannot be taken wherever I want. But then people realize that there are so many occasions, I can't call that person to come every time, take a tripod and then put a camera on top of it and click pictures. So there was a need which was in the market. People wanted something that they can carry forward or carry along with them, which is where your portable cameras came into play, the smaller ones, and slowly cameras became smaller and smaller, which you can actually carry in your pocket, right? Or advancement in computational needs. So when the computers initially, introduction of computers was a new technology. It was not a need for the market, right? But once the computer was introduced, once people realized that, oh, this can be done, then they started expecting faster and faster speeds. Today, we are doing what a computer could do probably 20 years ago. A huge computer, what it could do 20 years back, today we are able to do it on a small phone, which will fit in your palm, So that's where we are today. Or if you look at some more examples, energy efficient devices. So bulbs or tube lights were created, but now the need of the hour is it should be environment friendly and energy efficient. So it is not that I'm giving you fresh or different type of light. The light is still the same. It's still the white light only. But the need of the hour, the market requirement today is, firstly, it should be environment friendly. It should not be releasing too many harmful gases. And the second thing is it should be energy efficient, because people now understand that production of energy will lead to kind of environmental hazard. So I would want to decrease my energy, carbon footprint is what they're talking about, and so on and so forth. So these are the examples for market pull innovation. Okay. The next is technology push. Okay. So what is this technology push innovation? Excuse me. Right. So technology push innovation is here. It has got nothing to do with market anymore now. So there is a person sitting there and doing some research, suddenly identified, okay, this new thing in science came up. Now once this R&D led to some new technology, so then people started thinking how to use this new tech. This new technology, can I make some interesting and innovation product which does not exist? People doesn't even want it, that's okay. People didn't even want it, no problem. But if I make it, will people buy? So the best example is your smartphone. We all know that we had this, dial phones. I don't know how many of you even remember or even ever used it, touched it. I remember taking a receiver kind of a phone, dialing the number, when I was a kid. By the time I grew up, came to my 10th standard, most of those phones were gone except for in landlines. Except for in old houses, most of the people moved away into cell phones and mobile phones. But anyway, once the smartphones, so smartphones were not needed by people per se. People were happy with the phones that they had. But once the wireless technology was introduced, then came the first idea of cordless phones. People realized that, okay, I don't have to sit and talk. There was something called as a cordless phone, which is not actually a cell phone per se. It is just an extension of your landline, where instead of the receiver always, you need to be within the surrounding of the phone itself earlier. So then they introduced something called as a cordless phone. Then people realized that, okay, I don't need to sit and talk. I can keep roaming around the house and talk, which is nice. Then slowly the next level of thing was introduced, was the smartphone, saying that, okay, you don't, so the problem with the cord phone is you could not go out of the house because there was a range for the cordless phone. Okay, so the thing is, when you started, or when they started introducing the smartphone, basically the mobile phones that you know right now, then the idea was, okay, I could go out of the house and I can, nowhere related to landline anymore. I can make a call from anywhere, but that was still a feature phone. There's nothing smart about the phones as of now. So people were happy with the feature phones. Then came the era of smartphones, where we are talking about internet on the phone. You can do things on the phone which you could otherwise were doing on the computer earlier. So then the smartphones were introduced. So if you look at this entire evolution, every time people were happy with what they have, then something new came up and people found, oh, this can make my life even more easier. Then they were happy with what they have. Then the next thing came in. It was not that I was asking, it just came in and I liked it and I adopted it and I went for it. Okay, so this thing is called as technology push. It is not that there is a need for it in the market, it's just that something new came up and I like it better than what I already have. So this is the push which is coming from the technology. Okay, or the touch screen technology. People did not want a touch screen technology per se. People, it's not that they were feeling, okay, they were thinking about it, but the technology came through, there was innovation, R&D was happening, people realized that, okay, it is possible for me to give a touch sensitive screen. The moment that happened, they started putting that into use, and then they brought in your touch screen technology, which was way back in 1980, if I remember it correctly. Hewlett-Packard, HP was the first to introduce this touch screen technology in their palm tops. It was something called as palm top, or palm top devices is what they used to call. It used to be a device which could fit into your palm, hence it was a palm top like a laptop. And they used to give you, a stylus was there, but then you could use your hand also to, touch the screen at various points and get the sensors to understand where you're touching, and like your smartphone right now. So that's what happened. So this is an example of technology push innovation. Okay, so I hope this is the difference and the examples are clear. Over here, somebody was asking, I think somebody was asking for examples. I hope these examples are clear. Okay. Let's move on, guys. Okay, here's the question coming your way. Take a look at it and give me the answer. It's an interesting question. $40 seconds. Thank you, Saurabh. I will keep doing it till the D-Day. Okay, guys, the correct answer here is B, not C. Okay, now, first of all, market push does not exist. It is market pull or technology push, right? These are the two terms. So market push is not a term per se. Similarly, technology pull also is not a term. So straight away your A and D can be ruled out. Now let's see what is the correct answer between B and C. Okay. Now market pull versus technology push. Now the question says Nokia's mobile phone business was decimated in 2007 by which of the four options? So either it is market pull innovation in response to Apple's iPhone, or technology push innovation in response to Apple's iPhone. So let's take a look at what actually happened in 2007. Now Nokia also got into something. So initially they were all feature phones, and they slowly started transitioning into your smartphones. So it is not that Apple came up with smartphone per se. Please remember, Apple were not the first to come up with the smartphone. In fact, BlueBerry was giving out kind of a hybrid model of feature phone and, sorry, not BlueBerry, BlackBerry was having this kind of a feature phone mixed with a smartphone. So the smart technology was already there. So it is not a push which we are talking about which was done by Apple. But what did Apple actually do? They saw a need from the people. So once people started understanding that, okay, smartphone can exist, then what Apple did was bring out a more robust. So if you look at Apple, the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, I spend a lot of money, that's okay. But the second thing which you need to understand is, Apple is known for its robust products, okay, and they took this smartphone to the next level. So they basically eliminated the entire really having idea of keys. So the smartphones introduced by Apple, it's not a new technology. The whole idea is they basically eliminated the entire keys which were otherwise there. And the problem that happened is people wanted, so it was very cumbersome when you had too many keys, because the screen size used to get cut down. People wanted, so once the smartphone, the smart features were introduced, people wanted to watch things, people wanted to watch or have a bigger screen. So the need of the hour at that point was bigger screens. But then if I keep a mobile phone like this, where this much is your keys and this is your screen, and if I want to increase the screen size with the keys, then my device will start getting bigger and bigger. Then I can't fit it in my pocket. So that was the problem which everybody was facing. Then Apple came and said that, okay, let me just delete this entire thing. Who needs that? Why should I give that? Let me take it out and make this entire thing as a screen, which was actually the need for the people. So it is not that I'm pushing in a new technology. The smart technology existed even before Apple came in. Please keep that in mind. Hence, the correct answer is option B. It is not a technology push. It was a market pull innovation. Is it clear, guys, why it is B? So it's a very confusing question. I really agree with many of you. And yes, C could be an answer which many of you have given. But you need to understand the nuances of what happened at that point in time in that era. Clear? I hope this is clear to all of you. Let's move on. Okay, guys, so the next thing we're going to talk about is, so we spoke a lot about innovation and technology. So let's understand, how does diffusion of innovation happen? When I say diffusion basically in innovation terms is, it's basically defined according to this Mr. E.M. Rogers. Don't ask me who he is. He's the one person who defined something called as diffusion. Diffusion is basically, according to him, explains how over time an idea, product or a new kind of a service gains momentum and spreads. Basically diffusion is spreading. Okay, think of it simply as spreading. So something new, a product, a service or an idea, a concept is spreading among the population that you want it to spread. So this theory is called as theory of diffusion. Okay, diffusion of innovation theory. So what this person came up with, Mr. Rogers, in his 1962, way back in 1962, is that, look, this diffusion happens because of the people. Obviously, at the end of the day, the diffusion happens because of the people, right? People only talk about it, they accept it or they reject it. But he classified that when this is spreading, this spreads because of the people, and there are 5 categories of people who will help in the diffusion of technology or innovation. Okay, so let's take a look at what are these 5 categories of people that he spoke about. Okay, so these are called as adopter categories. So these are the people who understand or slowly adopt the technology or innovation or the concept or an idea over a period of time. But depending upon when they adopt, the kind of people that they are given into this classification. So you'll understand when I explain each one slowly. Okay, the first one is called as innovators. Now remember, these are your customers. Please remember, these are not entrepreneurs or anybody. These are classification of customers, the people who will understand and accept the technology. They are classified into these 5 categories. So these innovators are the people who like to try new things. Okay, so these are the people who like to try new things. They basically are the earliest when something new comes in. They are the first people to jump in and say, okay, let me try it out. So those are the kind of people. Previous page, Pratik, okay, let me go back. I hope this is clear. I'll just quickly move on. Moving on. Okay, so these are called as innovators. Similarly, the next people are early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Don't worry, I have explanation for each one of them coming up in the slide. So let's start by understanding these innovators in detail. Who are these innovators? As I said, these are the first to adopt a new technology. Now, they do not know whether it will be good or bad, but they like to experiment. A lot of us think that, okay, let me try something new in food. But many of us say that, okay, I don't want to try something new also. So the kind of people who try something new just for fun, without knowing whether it's going to help them or not, are called as your first to adopt, basically your innovators. Usually the kind of people, I'm saying usually, because a lot of, today you can find many old people also experimenting, but usually they are younger in age. Okay? And yes, by the nature of it, they are risk takers, because they are taking, they're taking a risk by trying something new without knowing whether it will be good for them or not. Okay, so they do take risk, and of course they have access to wealth. They have money. So remember, if I don't have money, why will I try something new? I have to spend money to buy something new, right? So it's like iPhone 13 comes, iPhone 14 comes, iPhone 15 comes, Apple comes up with something new. If I want to try everything, all of that, I need to have money. Otherwise, I will only buy what I really want. So typically, these these innovators are the people who have money at their disposal. They can spend money. Typically, Amir Baap ke kids, okay, something like that. But yes, young generation. They also come from obviously because they are wealthy, they come from a higher social class. Usually that's the expectation. Now, the percentage is quite low. The number of people in the market is around 2% to 3% only. This is a very minuscule audience for you. But these are the guys who will first taste your product in terms of new technology. Okay? Let's move on. The next are your early adopters. So early adopters are kind of like innovators, but they are not very risky that way. Okay, they are a bit more cautious. Like, okay, I have my friend who buys a new phone every other 1 month or 2 months. I don't buy it, but I like to try new things. So if he really recommends something to me, if he says this is awesome, I will not immediately go and buy it. I'll first take a look at his product. I'll try to examine, and if I feel like, okay, let me experiment it, I'm still experimenting, but I'm not the person who jumps first. I'm like, okay, pehle aap khudo, uske aapke piche mein aa raha hu. Okay, you go first, I'll come behind you. Okay, that's the kind of people that you're talking about. So they are a bit more cautious. They have similar traits as innovators. Of course, they also need to have access to wealth. Otherwise, you will not be able to purchase new things and experiment them. But this is the important thing. This segment of the market, they can become opinion leaders. Okay, so once this segment accepts your product, these are the guys, your typical YouTubers, your typical people who recommend products, review the products. These are the guys you're talking about, early adopters. These will constitute around 12 to 14% of the market. Okay, and they can start building opinions, and people will look up to them in terms of looking at a review for a product. Okay, so that's basically what you're talking about. Okay, The next set of people are called your early majority. So these are third in line to adopt technology. Okay. So once this group accepts a tech, so this is a big chunk, you can see 35%, a bulk of the market. But now you have already about 15 to 17% of the market already adopting a technology, because the innovators and you have your previous early adopters coming in. Now this majority, which is early majority, joins into the fray, a large chunk of it. And once these people come or start accepting the product, you can say that your product is widely accepted. Okay, so you can say that this product now is accepted in the market. Just by the first two people, you cannot say it is accepted, because it's a small percentage. Even if both the type of people accept it, that's only adding up to 15 to 16% or 17%. But once this chunk comes in and they join the entire story of new product, then you can say, okay, this product is a success, it is accepted now. Okay, they don't just try to adopt things. The main reason, so why they don't randomly accept things, I know it's a good product, I know it is value for money, but the thing is, what do I do? What will I do with it? Is it useful for me? They ask the most practical questions, and they look at what is its use to me? What is its utility to me? For example, if I already have Apple iPhone 13 and Apple comes with iPhone 14 with half an inch larger phone or screen, I'll ask the question, does that half inch really matter to me? Why should I leave this, buy another one in the next 8-9 months? What's the point? I already spent 1.2 lakhs. By the way, I'm not an Apple fan. I don't have a single product of Apple, just for clarification. But in case, if I'm one such person, I will ask this question. First of all, why did I buy my Apple? But anyway, given that I have Apple 13, let's say somebody gifted it to me, Apple iPhone 14, why will I buy? What is its utility to me? Well, it does faster calculations, but do I actually calculate so much on my phone? If not, I will not buy it. So that's the kind of thinking that these guys do. If a product is being accepted by them, the meaning is it is also having a great utility. That's one of the things that you can understand when these people start accepting a product. Pratik, Bitcoin is a new category. So Bitcoin, you're talking about cryptocurrency. I'm assuming Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency, but I'm assuming you're talking about cryptocurrencies per se. Cryptocurrency is a new technology. It would be something called as a technology push. Evangelists can be categorized under early adopters. Okay, evangelists are people who try to revive or push a particular product or make something look appealing. Okay, Shubhankar, I hope I am explaining this to you clearly. Evangelists are those who try to make a particular product appear in a very appealing way, appear in a very suitable way so that people can accept it. So it is not that, so here we are talking about type of audience. Their job is not to make others buy. Whereas evangelists typically are people who try to make or try to influence others. Here these are not necessarily influencers. Right, Shubhankar? Okay, so this is a bulk of the market over here. Then the next set of people are late majority. Again, a decent chunk, 34 to 35% of the population is like this. Now, these are the people who are a bit skeptical of new tech. It's like, oh, why will this new technology come again? What will it do? How will it help me? So they are not really they're not really accepting a new technology just for the heck of it. Even if it is found to be utility, good, it has utility to me. They will basically say that, okay, but my thing is already doing it. Why do I need it? It's okay, 5 seconds faster, but that's okay. I'm okay with what I have. So those are the kind of people you're dealing with over here. They are very late in the adoption circle. They usually need help in understanding. So if you want to categorize them, stereotype them to be slightly on a funny note, it would be ideally people who are in their 50s, 60s, like your grandparents, typically a bit unaware of technology, a bit scared about technology. Yes, late majority, Kirtana, that's correct. Could be elderly or middle-aged depending upon the exposure to tech. Now, I cannot say that all elderly people are like that, because I know enough elderly people who are in their 50s, 60s or even 70s who are really updated. In fact, as you go forward in time, guys, remember, another 50 years from now, you'll all be called as elderly people. But I'm pretty sure that when you are 60, you will be much more technologically advanced than your grandparents who are 60 or 70 right now. So I would basically, as the time progresses, the adoption to technology is going to become faster and faster, and you guys will not lose touch. Okay? Right, so that's your late majority, and lastly, we have the group of people called laggards. So who are these laggards? They are, of course, the last in line. Now, they are literally forced to adopt as all other options are closed. So these are the people who say, I don't want to use, but then they see that if I don't use it, this new technology, my old technology is dying. For example, I have been using Windows Vista for so many years. I don't want to update to a new Windows at all. Finally, I am forced to update it because Microsoft came and said, look, we will stop updates of Windows Vista. We will stop servicing of Windows Vista. I'm left with no choice. I have to go to the next version of Windows. So I am giving you an example. I'm not saying that I did that. If I would have done that, I would be called as a laggard. Okay? It's not because of awareness, Karthik. It could be because of many reasons. For example, my parents even today, despite knowing technology, don't use mobile phones for bank transactions because they are worried that somebody can hack into their phone and take away their data. It could be awareness, it could be fear, it could be just lethargy, it could be any reason. Okay, but this is not a big chunk. Yeah, 15 to 16 is a decent size, but not as big as your 30-35% that we have seen. Okay, so they are very uncomfortable moving away from their comfort zone. So whatever they are doing, they were happy doing it, but if you push them, they don't want to move away unless you say that this is over. Now this is getting closed, so please move to the next one. Okay, so that's basically the kind of people that you're calling as laggards. Right, so these are 5 types of people who will adopt innovation or new products or technology in different parts of its phase. Okay? Question coming over here, quick question, 30 seconds, please give me your answer. Shiva, illiteracy could also be a reason, but please remember, not all illiterate people are unsavvy technologically. But yes, almost you can say for technology to be understood, you need a little bit of literacy. Dipali, Shama, Farhan, Krishna. Very good, guys. Radha, incorrect. Kirtana, very good. Okay, now you guys can see the answer because I already commented with what is correct, what is wrong. So diffusion is a concept that refers to, now remember, diffusion is basically percolation of or acceptance of technology, but by whom? It is by audience or customers. So it is buyers of service, it is not about sellers. It is who is accepting it, the customers are accepting it. So it is buyers of service. That's the simple logic. Clear? Okay. One more question coming your way. Here I'll explain 2 things once the question is done. So try to guess the answer. I'm accepting that I haven't explained this to you, but I'm putting the question. I'll explain this shortly. Okay, 45 seconds. Please try to give me the answer. Okay, got a lot of answers, all different answers. Before I tell you what the correct answer is, guys, once again a reminder, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. Click on the notification button as well as the like button, guys. We would like to know how many of you really appreciate our sessions, right? Okay, let's go ahead. The question is, mechanism that unlocks the doors of the adopter population for the propagation of innovation is. Now, when you're talking about the propagation of innovation, broadly speaking, this can happen in 2 ways. Okay, one is called as technology substitution. The other is bandwagon effect. This is a part of theory which I deliberately did not explain, but I'm explaining it right now. So bandwagon effect. These are the 2 ways or the 2 mechanisms through which adopter population will propagate innovation or a product. Please remember, these are the broad two ways. One is technology substitution and the other is bandwagon effect. So first of all, technology substitution is you have a particular technology, good or bad, whatever else it is, you are substituting it with new technology. It could be something relatively better or just a incremental advance, or it could be a breakthrough, or it could be radical change. Whatever else it is basically something that you are bringing in and pushing out. You are pushing out old technology and bringing in new technology to do a particular work which was being done earlier. For example, if you're talking about computers, you are using calculators, you are using long ledgers at one point in time to keep track of things. You are using your own mind to compute and calculate things. That is a task. Then this technology of computers came in, it replaced a lot of these things with a simple box or with electronics in it. So it was substituting some part of thing which was part technology, part non-technology, but whatever else it is, to do a given task, you are putting in new technology and pushing out something that you are already using. This is called as technology substitution. Okay, so when the starting point of all propagation mostly starts with technology substitution. Then after the first, second and third phase of people start accepting it, then it becomes the bandwagon effect. So more or less when you have 30+% approximately, I'm not saying that this is a hard and fast rule, but once you get around 30% of the population accepting it, then because there are so many people accepting it, the effect is now going to become the bandwagon effect. It's no more a question of whether it's utility, is it good to utilize, is it not good to utilize. The whole idea is, look, a lot of people are using it, let me also end up using it or try it out. So that effect will now push it further. So the initial reason why it will succeed is because it is giving you a better result to a problem that exists. You are using something, you are replacing that something with something better. Right? So initially the first, second phase people will accept it, and then that will lead to the third phase of people slowly started to accept it. Once you have this gives you more than 50% of the market already accepting it. Okay, when you say 1, 2 and 3, so 3 is a huge chunk. So when I say put basically 30%, I'm saying that 1 and 2 have already accepted it. Third phase, people have started accepting it, third type of people. So somewhere over there, you are saying that, okay, this bandwagon effect will take into account, and the speed goes multifold. Okay, so initially it's like, a small stream flowing. Once you have this 30+40% people accepting it, to go from 40 to probably 60-70% people accepting it, it will not take too long. So the bandwagon effect will push the percolation or the usage of the technology into the entire audience. Right, so that's the answer. The correct answer here is technology substitution, because you're talking about unlocking the doors, the starting point. Clear? Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is, now when this when this adoption is happening, when a person, so now we are talking about an individual. So if I have an individual, doesn't matter which category I belong to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there are 5 stages that an individual goes through when the process or a product is being adopted by me. So these are the 5 stages that we're going to look at. The first stage is a knowledge stage. Knowledge stage is very easy for you to understand. You didn't know that this existed. Now you know it is existing. You'll understand what is it exactly, what does it do, what will be the output of it, things like that. And you are just trying to understand the product. So this is more about knowledge or understanding. Now you're not deciding just by understanding it. You will first understand, okay, this exists, fine. It's like saying that a new phone exists, that is knowledge for me. The next thing is attitude formation or persuasion. Okay, so this is the stage where the individual starts thinking about, do I need this product? If it is there, will it help me in my life? Okay, then you're talking about, okay, will it benefit me to have this? If I don't have this, what harm will it happen to me? Or you are evaluating. So this is evaluating and forming an attitude, saying that, okay, it is useful to you or not useful to you. And the final thing is decision. This is where the price point comes into play. So you understood that, okay, I might want to buy the product, it's good. Now the question is it value for money? Is there something cheaper? So now the decision is not about the product alone. You also start looking at, okay, fine, I'm sold on the idea that I need a better phone. But is this the better phone, or do I have a better phone somewhere else? Is some other company giving me a better phone? So the decision phase talks about accepting or rejecting a product, keeping all these things that we just saw in mind. So all of this will culminate into a decision being made. So either I accept something or reject something based on all this: price, the utility of it, competitors, is there something better than this available to me? Do I need it really? All these points come together and make your decision. So once a decision is made, you bought something, that's fine. The next thing is implementation. Implementation is where when you're talking about, okay, I bought the product, now I'm going to use it, so you are going to utilize it. And you're basically trying to understand, have I decision part? Yes, Makarand, I'll come back to the decision part again. So when you're talking about utilize, basically implementation is utilization of the product, and you'll slowly start understanding, okay, while I'm utilizing the product, what are the hurdles that I'm facing? It's kind of a feedback. You have feedback to yourself. You're trying to understand, okay, if this is the problem, how do I tackle with it? Can I go to the customer care, get this served? So you're basically using it regularly. And the final thing is confirmation. Basically you say that, okay, did I do a good thing or a bad thing at the end of the day? And then you can also, confirmation could also be not just about for yourself, it could also be to others. Okay, so it's like, you don't write a review that the product is excellent by just buying it. You buy it, you use for some time, and then you confirm that damn good product, man, go and buy it. It's like a movie. Movie is very easy. You see, you like it or you don't like it. There's nothing much to implement there. But without watching a movie, you don't recommend it to others, right? Unless you want to take your revenge on somebody for making you sit through an idiotic movie. I've done that in college, gone to a very bad movie, then gave an excellent review, sent a batch of my friends, and then they used to come back and give me bumps. That's a later thing. But yes, usually what happens is when you're talking about confirmation, you will look at, okay, did this actually help me finally? Did I get what I expected? Should I recommend it to others? So that's basically what you're talking about as a confirmation. Okay, so these are the 5 stages in change adoption process. When something has been adopted or changed, this is what a person goes through, right? So Makarand is saying decision part again, please. So this decision, Makarand, decision is finally ultimately asking yes or no. So decision is simple, yes or no. But the thing is, for the decision to happen, you are looking at knowledge already to happen, because you will use the knowledge. You will also look at attitude. What attitude have you formed? And how much have you been persuaded to understand or to believe that this product is useful to you? So the first 2 stages will lead to the decision yes or no, but in the yes or no, there will be a lot of factors that you consider. You look at utility, you look at price, you look at alternatives, okay, you look at cost benefit analysis. You'll also look at what if not, what if no. You'll say, okay, if I don't buy it, what will happen to me? If I buy it, what is the advantage? So you'll do all this analysis based on the knowledge, based on the persuasion or the attitude that you have formed regarding a product. See, I personally already have the attitude that iPhones are a waste of money. I've already developed that attitude, because of which my decision has been no, and then the remaining 3 phases do not exist for me. For you to understand why these 5 phases are important, my attitude towards the product is already deciding my 3rd point, which is decision. So here itself, I have basically made up my mind that I know it's a good product, there's nothing wrong about it, but if you really ask me, do you need to buy it? I would say if I have 1 lakh, I might spend it on something else, not on probably an Apple iPhone. So that's my attitude towards the product. So I have developed that kind of an attitude over a period of time, and because of which my decision is always no for an Apple product. Okay? Mickey, okay, Mickey, I think the message was retracted, but I remember what he was asking. Mickey, yes, भाई साहब आप CMAT exam crack कर सकते हो, provided you start practicing English, as Saurav is rightly saying, for your GD and PI phase. Okay, because PI will not be in Hindi. आपका interview हिंदी में नहीं होगा, English में ही होगा. So अगर आपको English बोलने में दिक्कत है, if you are finding problem in speaking English, आपका interview वाला phase काफी मुश्किल होगा, right? I hope my Hindi has been okay. So by the way, my mother tongue is not Hindi, so I fumble once in a while when I speak in Hindi. So I hope that you guys are okay with it. Let's continue. Okay, so the question coming your way. Give me an answer in 45 seconds. It's very easy, not even 45 seconds. You can give the answer in 20 seconds. Saurav, cat, अच्छा, okay, मिके अगर आप cat के बारे में पूछ रहे थे, then there's a problem, my friend, क्योंकि cat में एक पूरा section English का होगा, और अगर आप English बोलने या पढ़ने में प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहे हो, देन आपका इंग्लिश सेक्शन बहुत मुश्किल होगा आपके लिए, और विदाउट इंग्लिश वो सेक्शन में मार्क्स बिना लाए आप अच्छे बिजनेस स्कूल में एटलीस्ट इंटरव्यू कॉल भी नहीं मिलेगा आपको. ओके, राइट गाइस, द करेक्ट आंसर इज एटीट्यूड फॉर्मेशन. इट्स वेरी क्लियर. Unfavorable attitude or favorable attitude, I already gave my own example about Apple iPhone, so that, well, the answer is straight away C. Okay, let's move on. Now last class somebody was asking the difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur. I explained it, but I did not put anything on the slide, so I thought I'll spend 1 or 2 minutes putting this difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman. Let's quickly take a look at the differences. So if you're looking at a businessman or an entrepreneur, typically this guy is a market creator. So such a market did not exist, he is creating. For example, if you look at Zomato or Foodpanda तो अभी है नहीं, it's been, they've closed it down. But if you look at Zomato or Swiggy, such a market of home delivery aggregator did not exist. Yes, इससे पहले हम call करते थे, we used to call the restaurant which is nearby, the guy used to send his own delivery boy and we used to eat, घर पे बैठे बैठे. But these guys created something new. Similarly, Ola, Uber, all these, they are market creators. Such a market did not exist. Whereas a businessman is not a creator, he is a market player along with his own competition. So when you create a new market, there is no competition because you are creating something that did not exist. Whereas a market player basically means you are one among the many. You could be a big one, no doubt. For example, if you are a Maruti car maker, you are owning 50, or you are having 50+% of the market share. You are a huge manufacturer in India, no doubt. But you are not a market creator. You are a market player, right? Second thing is, they are businessmen are relatively, I'm not saying they don't take risk. You can't do business without taking risk, please understand. But with respect to entrepreneur, these guys take lesser amount of risk because they have something already going well for them. Why would you want to disrupt something well going for them and start something new without knowing whether it will be successful or not, when something what I have already is making money, which is actually a problem with, I'll explain this, why is it a problem, but the entrepreneurs are high risk takers because they start something new without knowing whether it's going to be successful or not. Okay, so the thumb rule is for almost about every 100 companies that start, probably only 2 or 3 become successful, or even less than that, 1 or 2 will become successful. Okay, so you'll never hear about the 98 companies that closed down. And those 1 or 2 companies also not everything will become a unicorn. Many of them will sell out to somebody else, to a bigger business, or they will come up to a particular level and then the idea will fizzle out. But not many companies that are actually closing down you hear about or you remember about. Okay, so there's a huge risk in starting something new. Now, of course, they come up with, see, if I'm starting something new, why will I start something new unless I offer, a great innovation? So these guys are out of the box process, thinkers. So they think something new, they bring something new. There's no point making an exact replica of a Maruti car right now. Why will anybody buy my Maruti car, buy my car if it is same as what Maruti is giving? So if I bring a car which is competing with Maruti, something I have to make better, something which is appealing to people which Maruti currently cannot give me. So I have to think out of the box to give that extra factor. Whereas these guys are, the process, so when I say traditional, when does something become traditional? When it is largely used over a period of time. Now, sometime entrepreneur could become a businessman over a period of 50 years, and his out of the box thinking could become a traditional process. But once it becomes a traditional process, with respect to this process, something new is going to happen. That is what makes a person an entrepreneur. So I'm not saying that a businessman was never an entrepreneur. Yes, an entrepreneur can become a businessman over a period of time. His out of the way thinking can become the trend in the industry, and then it could become something called as the traditional process. Then somebody comes and disrupts it. So please understand the transition. Okay. Similarly, these guys are not worried about profits. They are worried about growth. Growth is not about making money. It's about reaching out to more people. When I say this people, this is staff. Because when I'm growing, when I'm making more products, I want good people in my company, right? As well as customers. Obviously, when I'm growing the product, my customers cannot be angry with me, so I have to focus on the customers. Whereas here, these usually businessmen, they are in the life cycle of a product or a company, they are in the stable state. They're in the stable state, so they're trying to maximize their profits. It's not that they will cheat the customers, but yeah, if I can cut cost a little here and there without affecting too much about the customer, I am okay doing it because that will increase my profitability. Okay, I'm not saying that they'll give you substandard stuff, or they will not worry about the customer at all, but I'm saying relatively. All these are relative comparison, please keep in mind. And usually, as I said, entrepreneur creates a market. Because you are creating a market, there is barely any competition. Whereas here, this is one of the players in the competition, so they face a lot of one of the players in the market, so they face a lot of competition. Clear? So this is the difference between entrepreneur and businessman. Shama, entrepreneurs are the only one who could be businessmen? Clearly not here. Businessmen may or may not be entrepreneurs. Right? For example, agar mera baap ka business hai koi, my father unfortunately does not have a business, but if he has a big business, he can hand it over to me. I'll not be called as an entrepreneur. I'll be called as a second generation businessman. Okay, so it is not necessary that businessmen come only from entrepreneurship, not necessary. Okay, one question coming your way, quickly give me the answer to this. What is the answer? We already discussed this, but not in this session. So I deliberately put 1 or 2 questions from the previous sessions. Ye check karne ke liye if you guys understood or remembered. Very good, guys. Very nice. The answer is E. It is not a businessman. It is not an entrepreneur. Look at it. Risky investment. He is making an investment for equity capital. So I am giving money and taking equity. I am not a businessman. I am not an entrepreneur. So I am getting into a venture. So hedge fund usually and mutual funds usually don't invest in single companies. Usually, I said. So we are talking about a venture capital, because a venture capitalist is a person who comes to the help of a startup company and gives them money and takes some equity. Okay, we saw types of people who give funding. I explained this all in, I think, the second or the third session. Last question, I believe. I think we have one. Yeah, last question. Again, very straightforward. You should be able to give me the answer. Shubhankar, I've already explained P and H fund, my friend. एक बार मेरा video देख लीजिएगा, video number 2 or video number 3. I explained in detail. Okay, we are running short of time right now. Guys, the correct answer is D. Okay, it's not E. E could be misleading, but E is not the correct answer. See, out of the box thinking तो होना ही चाहिए. Desire to bring change, yes, the person should have the desire to bring change. And product or process improvement, yes, all these 3 are very straightforward. Now the question is about D or E. Now I will not start a business with the idea that I will I will have a status quo. Status quo is what? Status quo is no change at all. Status quo is no change at all. Now look at E, imitation of existing products with better features. In fact, these are called as imitation entrepreneurs. We have seen the type of entrepreneur. In fact, in one of the previous sessions, I already discussed this. Okay, imitation entrepreneurs are those people who use an existing idea or a product, make some changes, make it better than what it is, and then enter the business. So these kind of people exist. Status quo in business, basically status quo is basically, the meaning is no change. It is as it is. So nobody comes into the business saying that मैं exactly as it is नया दूसरा वाला बनाऊंगा. If I have to make the example that I gave you about a car, if I am going to replicate Maruti's car, why would anybody come to me? I can go, but why would nobody will come to me? So if I am smart, I will not do that. Right, Radha? So the correct answer is option D. So guys, let me see how many questions are there. Okay, so we will keep this for the next session. So this will be the last question. So we are done with it. Guys, once again, if you like the session, please subscribe to the channel. Click on the notification button as well as on the like button. You have 2 more sessions coming your way. One, I believe, on Friday, I think Friday or Saturday, and then one more on Sunday, right? So that will be the end of this entire course. Thank you guys, and see you in the next one.